Greetings, citizens of the world. Let's start in the United States of America with house prices. These are real house prices, as in inflation has been taken into account when making this chart. In this case, it's CPI inflation with actually the housing aspect of CPI inflation taken out, so the information doesn't just loop back on itself. And you can see the basic shape of it. It's for the core logic HPI, Case-Shiller Composite 20 and the Case-Shiller National Index, but they basically follow each other, and this is going back to 1976. I've put the yellow line on the 100 mark. The 100 is just a reference point. And if we take that reference point, the Case-Shiller National is now at the same number, 100, as it was in 1989. That's not particularly significant, but it is an interesting sort of chart showing what happens when house prices are in real, as in inflation adjusted. Capital Observer, an article, Paulson, liquidation. There have been rumours flying around for the past week that John Paulson is being liquidated. That is, not being shot, but his hedge fund, he must be one of the top 5 hedge fund managers in the world, I would have thought. And liquidated in this case would mean that the fund is now irretrievable, so they just decide to give all the money back, whatever's left of the money, back to the investors. One of his last remaining positions that was performing, GLD, is now crashing. GLD is the ETF for gold. If Paulson has not been liquidating, then it is likely that he will be soon. Nearly every one of his largest positions has blown up. He was even into Sino-Forest, which has been just about proven to be a scam. And they're really leveraged up, these hedge funds, so they make it big when they win, but they also lose big when they lose. Now, they're meant to be hedged, so if one loser should be compensated by another winner, but when you've got so many losers, he just won't have enough winners. And GLD was one of his winners, which has certainly taken a hit lately. But more important than all that, just money stuff. The second line there. If Paulson has not been liquidating, then it is likely that he will be soon. Now, in the United States of America, have the words then and than been totally and utterly turned around? If they have, just tell me and I can adapt to it. Third link. Maria Elizabeth Marcias Castro, editor-in-chief of the daily newspaper Primera Hora and blogger, was found dead in Nuevo Laredo on the 24th of September 2011. Her body had been decapitated. A note found next to her accused her of denouncing drug violence on social networks and websites such as Nuevo Laredo, En Vivo, or Nuevo Laredo Live, where members of the public can leave messages indicating to the security forces locations where gangs congregate and sell drugs. The state authorities said that the message had been left by a criminal gang. The note reportedly made reference to the pen name Marcias used to blog La Nena de Nuevo Laredo, and was signed with the letter Z, or Z, usually associated with a Zetas cartel. A similar note was found near the bodies of 2 people discovered hanging from a bridge in Nuevo Laredo on the 13th of September. The Tamaulipas state government reportedly expressed its deepest condolences to Marcia's family and friends. The state attorney's general office is investigating the murder. Mexico is very quickly running out of oil money, and I fear that when it does, it will degenerate very quickly. Project Syndicate. Christopher Hill article, who's a top sort of US ambassador type. The Arab Spring's unintended consequences. And it's quite obvious that this Arab Spring stuff, although wonderful in its own way, will have unintended consequences. He starts, Yemen's renewed violence is just the latest sign that the Arab Spring may be joining the list of those historical contagions that, in the fullness of time, did not turn out well. Indeed, its effects may be reaching countries in ways that we did not expect. Israel, in particular, can be forgiven for curbing its enthusiasm over the effect of the Arab Spring on its own security. On August 19, Israel absorbed an attack in the Negev desert through an increasingly dangerous border with Egypt, which left 8 civilians dead. Just a few weeks later, a mob attacked Israel's embassy in Cairo, forcing the evacuation of Israeli diplomats and creating a major row with Egypt's fragile interim government. In Syria, nobody is prepared to predict the outcome of what is turning into a bloody battle with sectarian overtones. And in Libya, while getting rid of Muhammad al-Gaddafi is a good first step, democracy and the rule of law are, to be optimistic, years away. And for the rest of the article, I shall speed read it for you. Meanwhile, in Shia-led Iraq, this year has seen an increase in violence, Sunni attacks on the government and Shia civilians. Many Middle East observers see Iranian support behind the attacks by Shia militant groups. Sunni groups are supposedly trying to prove that they still matter, that they still have been neither defeated nor deterred by US troops. The transfer of power in what had been a Sunni-led country to Shia majority, Shia-ruled Iraq has not been well received by the Sunni Arab world. Indeed, some extreme Sunnis in the Arab world consider Shia power a mortal threat. The 1,300-year-old Sunni-Shia divide was not what the US had in mind when it invaded in 2003. Indeed, the rest of the Arab Middle East, where Sunni governments or monarchs prevail, the unprecedented Shiification of Iraq has not gone down well. So let's move on to the civilized world and the United Kingdom. And a good old picture there. I couldn't put it all in. Times have changed since 1957, when Harold Macmillan predicted a bright future backed by increased industrial output. But we're now today. Further confirmation that UK families are being crippled by the biggest squeeze on their finances since the 1920s has emerged, as a major retailer reported that the largest drop in households' monthly disposable income since it started keeping records. Family spending power slumped £14 in August, according to the results of supermarket giant Asda monthly tracker income thing. Rising prices left UK average family with just £162 of disposable income. That is 7.9% less than this time last year. Bugger. Finish with this chart. World energy-related carbon dioxide emissions by fuel 1990 and then projected out into the future to 2035 in billions of metric tons. As you can see, blue at the bottom is liquids, oily type things, is going up only a little, and that's optimistic. Natural gas opening up, and that's quite good. There might be quite a lot of more natural gas usage, but this is probably realistic. The top one, coal usage, will increase drastically in the short, medium and long-term future. That's it. Bye.